this part. So this is where we're going to use our marker, and you don't have to have a dry erase marker, any kind of marker will work. Something about this big around. You're going to take and leave it about approximately 1.5 inches to 2 inches off, and you're just going to hold that down with your thumb and wrap it around the end without the lid. And you're just going to go around in circles, making those coils like we did in the electromagnetic. And you're going to leave about the same amount hanging off the other side, and then just slip that off. The reason you want to do it on the other end, that the lid will get in the way. Yep. Okay, so now we want to take those two, we have two ends, approximately the same size. If one's a little longer, it's okay. We can take care of that in a minute. So we're going to take and we're going to come up through the circle, and we're going to, I do that 2 times because it sometimes doesn't pull through. And I'm going to show you again with this side. And I like mine to have one coming up on the top of the wire and one coming up through the bottom. So whichever way I went up, I came up and I went through the bottom and came out on top. So this time I'm going to go down, and I'm going to do that 2 times. And I want to pull that tight. And if I don't like how tight it is, I think I need it just a little bit tighter. So I'm going to do that a 3rd time. Sometimes you just do it 2 times, but it looks like you've only went around it 2 times. So you see, you'll have one that's laying on the top and one that's laying on the bottom. I find that to be a more successful. Now, if you want to make sure those tight, you can use a pair of pliers and just kind of give it a little snug pull. And we can see that one's a little shorter than the other, but this makes your wires really nice and tightly coiled, which is what you want when you're doing this activity. Now, the next step is the one that you've really got to pay attention on. We're going to take off some of this enamel coating. Again, we can't conduct electricity because this enamel coating is an insulator. So you've got to take some of that off. And I'm going to use my book because I don't want to scratch my table. When I do this part, I'm going to lay it down, and you're going to use that little piece of sandpaper that we talked about, and you're only going to take off the paint on one side of this wire. And I always do the wire that I'm taking off only one side of the one at one time, the first. So let me say, so this side needs to be stripped. This side needs to stay red. So I'm going to uncover the copper wire here. This side, I'm going to take it off this whole side. The entire thing is going to become copper wire. You're going to take all that insulation off. The reason I do the one with the one side first is because if I mess up, the other side can become the one that only has half of it stripped. So if I accidentally strip more than half of the wire off. So the easiest way to do this is I use that hole and I put my index finger in it and I lay that down on the table, not maybe on your family's furniture, but maybe put a piece of paper under it. I'm using this book. I'm going to take and I'm going to just run that, push down with my thumb on the sandpaper and run it through. And what will happen is I'll have red still insulated on this side and copper on this side. You'll see the copper wire. Now, if you have just a little bit of red paint and you still need to do it, I usually only do it a couple of times. It's really easy with the sandpaper to take that off. But it's very important, if you do not do this step correctly, it will not work. It will just sit and rock. It will not spin. It has to have that break in the current that this red insulation provides. Now, this side has to be completely stripped. And now that I know I didn't mess this side up, then I'm going to take, and you'll see that this sandpaper's got a nice fold on it. I'm going to put it not in the fold, but in between my index finger and my thumb, and I again using that index finger to put it's like a ring, and I just pull. And I move it to now I'm doing it from the side, and I'm just pulling. And I kind of just change the direction that I'm going. And you'll have to do this a few more times. You don't want to do it too many times and weaken your wire. You just want to get that red paint off. And if I see I've got a little strip right here, I'm going to go to that area and make sure that's off. Again, if you pull it too many times, it'll actually weaken your wire and only get too thin, and you'll have to start over with a new wire. So now that we've got that stripped, and you can see all copper, it's okay that you have a little bit of red paint here. That's not important. This is the important part, that is stripped clean. Same thing if you have a little red paint all the way around it, as long as most of that wire is stripped on one side and still insulated on the other.